get on here last night, but I decided not to because I was exhausted. And if you can't see, I'm completely sunburned. And my son and I golfed yesterday. And by the time I got home, well, shit had gone down. And the question now becomes what? What's the next thing to happen? Some sort of retaliation. I don't think that's an understatement. I think something is going to happen. How big is it? That I don't know. I don't even know what Iran has because, quite frankly, I think everybody's guessing a lot of shit about Iran, what they have and what they don't have. But one thing I thought was supposed to be true was there was going to be no regime change, right? Like this isn't about the people. It's not even about their leadership so much. It's not about, we're not at war. We're at war with the nuclear. This is what we're at war with their nuclear stuff. This is it. This nuclear stuff. We're at war with the nuclear stuff. That's it. We want to get rid of them. The nuclear side of stuff. It's going to make the world safer and better. By the way, I don't know. First of all, the unusual stuff that happened days before says to me that maybe they got some of that nuclear stuff out. Now you've got other countries who are very much nuclear powers going, hey, we'll give you some of our stuff. So whether or not this makes us safer and by us, I was never worried. Now, sleeper cells, we could have a talk about that all day. There's no doubt in my mind that in the last 4 years, Joe Biden and his feckless, useless group of folks that ran the, whether it be anything to do with immigration, right? The CBP, any of those people, it's not their fault, but it's the administration's fault. Oh, well, the border's secure. Bullshit. Border was never secure. Never secure. Ever secure. And at least not the way that they thought, right? Because I think they thought maybe they were wrong. Maybe it was opposite day. Opposite day is, border secure, which means the border is unsecure. I don't know. But I've always worried about the people we got in called the gotaways. We don't know who the hell they are. And so, yes, could there be some people here that would like to do bad? Oh, I'm sure there is. And I'm sure some of them been here for a while, some of them for not so long. But what I do know is there's always groups of people in this country that would like to cause hell and havoc. And will we find out, unfortunately, sooner rather than later? God willing, we don't. But in the Middle East, are we going to find out some stuff? Yeah. I mean, here's the thing about being a dictator, if you will. If you don't show something back to the other side who's done something to you, what happens is people perceive you as very weak. And you being weak means that you are vulnerable to being overthrown, et cetera, et cetera. And I think, and again, is there going to be regime change? I have heard this has never been about regime change. I've been told that a whole freaking bunch.
We will take a few questions, Phil.
Me?
Yeah.
So is regime change off the table, Mr. Secretary? And to the chairman, you said the battle damage assessment is still ongoing, but do you believe that some nuclear capability in Iran remains?
This mission was not and has not been about regime change. The president authorized a precision operation to neutralize the threats to our national interests posed by the Iranian nuclear program and the collective self-defense of our troops and our ally Israel.
Well, a lot of this is about Israel. I think we recognize that. And they're living underground for the most part at this moment in time. So that's not a good thing for them. But it's not about regime change. You heard it. It's not about regime change. Some people, John Bolton, no relation to Michael, always wants the regime change. You remember that time that Trump would talk about the fact that he'd be in a room with a whole bunch of bad guys? He said, look, you're lucky I'm president because this guy behind you, yeah, he wants to stomp all over you. And it was always John Bolton. John Bolton today.
For being here. Were you surprised that President Trump took such decisive action?
Well, let me say this unequivocally. I think President Trump made the right decision for America to attack Iran's nuclear weapons program. And I think we're on the verge of potentially seeing regime change in Iran as part of that. I think this is a huge change in the Middle East. It was a decisive action. It was the right thing to do. I thought somebody should do it for a long time, but better late than never.
Well, that's odd. But you know what? He's an old pundit, right? Like, and he's not a fan of Iran. They have supposedly have a hit out on him. And, so, okay. But he's always been about regime change. All right. But Trump's not about that. Like, he would never be about that. Well, okay, a little while ago. It is not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, MEGA, you wouldn't, why wouldn't there be a regime change? Question mark. What? But I thought there was no regime change. This is not about regime change. No, it shouldn't be about regime change. And I always go back to this. We always think the next guy is going to be the best guy. Now, this guy's going to be great. He's going to be sweet. He's going to be cuddly and kind, right? He's going to rise from the ashes. You know, who are we going to send in there? Who? Because if there's going to be regime change, aren't you hoping that it's somebody that gets along with Israel? Because that's really what it's about. We've got to go to, what if there's regime change and the next person is like, oh, I spoke to BB an hour ago and he doesn't like this guy either. You're like, what? Oh, not again. And then you do it again. He's like, no, but he says this one doesn't fit either. Ah, geez. I have no idea. But I don't want regime change. I don't want battles, and I don't want any of this stuff. And this isn't about, look, what we did was awesome. What we did was awesome, right? Our guys threw 7,000, I think 28 miles. There, back. I mean, it was amazing. They dropped their bombs, boom. I mean, I don't know how much is destroyed. I don't think any of us are going to know for a couple of days. And even at that point in time, satellite has said for the last couple of days that there's been suspicious movements over the last week or so there, meaning they could have gotten a lot of that stuff out. And even the nuclear inspectors suspected that they had other areas that they were doing things. But do you think this makes it want a bomb more or less? I would say more, because if they had one, chances are we wouldn't have done this. There's always that possibility. So we are where we are at this point in time. God willing, cooler, calmer heads will prevail. But I think even if Iran would have given into all the demands, that this is more about regime change at this moment in time. BB thinks that they're a murderous, evil sons of bitches, and quite frankly, they are. I mean, I don't think we have to dispute that. And people always say, do you worry that if Iran got a nuclear weapon, that they would use it? I say, anybody who's got a nuclear weapon knows the power of the nuclear weapon, knows that to use the weapon means absolute annihilation. I've always said this, and it's a way to keep you safe if you are a rogue state. It's a way to keep you relevant on the planet. I don't think they would have used it. Everybody thinks the minute they would have got it, they just took it out and fired it. It took some years to even get to that point, because you still have to figure out a way to make it so it is deliverable in a manner that would work. But there's no doubt they're a murderous SOB, so the largest state sponsor of terror. But just tell me the truth. Look, we don't like this guy that's there. He's a dick. He says he wants to kill America. Chants are useless, so I don't really care about that. Says he wants to kill Israel, and he would like to, and they've launched attacks, and they're just, we don't like him. He's a bad guy. He's not good for business. He's not making the Middle East good. And then we go from there. I'm like, okay, at least I could get in with that. It's like, okay, you were honest about that. But to use this under the pretext of, we're going to do this, and and it's because of this, and then it was because of that. And yeah, I don't know. But I do know in the next couple of days that there's going to be something surprise. And the surprise could be anything from, hey, they decided to give everything up and become a peaceful nation. Kidding. That's not going to happen. But it could be give everything up. Or the surprise could be they have launched lots of attacks straight to Hormuz. They've dropped mines. This is going to be a bit of a nightmare for a while. And are people getting, into shit? Anything is on the table. I think at this moment in time, anything is on the table. And I think that's what we have to realize. We have to realize that at this point in time, whatever is going to happen in this, there's going to be retaliation. After that, it's what does the retaliation look like? Is it the kind of retaliation where Iran fires some stuff off and they telegraph it? We're able to avoid it. No damage was done. Cooler, calmer heads prevail. People come to the table. And I don't know what even if they came to the table and said, They came, they said they are going to give all of their stuff up, but Bibi wants this guy gone. That's my fear. It's Bibi wants, this is a checklist thing for him, I feel. This is a checklist thing. And that's my frustration. Well, something is going to happen. God willing, it isn't going to, because there wasn't lots of death and destruction. Thank God for that. They're not calling for the kind of violence you think you would see. If we would have killed, hundreds and 1,000 of their people, I think it would be a much different situation. But because we struck places they knew we were going to strike, it wasn't if but when. I don't think that we're going to have the kind of thing. I think they're going to telegraph some stuff. It'll be knocked down, or our guys and gals will be moved. There won't be anything that happens that causes us to have to step it up and all of a sudden think about putting boots on the ground. Now, the Straits of Hormuz is going to be interesting because of, what is it, like 25% of the world's oil and goods. We're talking about a ton of stuff there that could send the markets, going in a different direction. There's a lot of stuff financially that could go on. So there's a lot of things that can happen. But I think this is just the people I've talked to. They're backdooring, hey, look, we're going to do something. We got to have a reaction. This is what it's going to be. Something like this. Know that might happen. Act accordingly. And let's see if we can figure something else out on the other side. But I think for some people, like I said, we can go back to this over and over again. If you're talking about regime change, we are not good at that. We're not. We're not good at regime change. We're great at getting into shit. We're great at breaking stuff. We're great at coming in and wiping things out when we need to. But you are talking about something, first of all, how are you going to regime change? Are we going to get the Shah's son? He's kind of an idiot, so that ain't going to happen. Are we going to let the military run the place for a while? You think Bibi's going to be thrilled with that? Because remember, a lot of this has to be checked off by Bibi. Do you think that we are going to allow one of the other potential, mullahs to ascend and to take everything over, and because he could be death to America too. And they have a government, but it's right now it's the theocrats rule everything. So whatever the government says, it's only as good as the Ayatollah wants. And how much is he even running at this point in time? He's 86. He's run his race. So could the next guy be younger and badder? It's possible. So, but if we were to do that and we didn't get the guy, that they want, whoever they are, then what? Oh, yeah. What if? Oh, what if we did get somebody and then Bibi's like, I really like this guy. Are we going to have to do this over and over again? That's the thing. Is it this another quagmire of bullshit? And we're being sold that listening to the news and watching them, just this is the best thing ever. A nuclear Iran would be horrible. A nuclear this would be bad. Over and over, I keep being sold this bill of goods that I feel like we've been here before, and it was Iraq. And I feel like the same people, Bibi, said that we should get into this because it's going to make everything better. Then everything went to shit. And I feel like we could be bogged down in another Libya. We could be into another Afghanistan. And we don't want any of that. So the question is going to be in the coming days and weeks is, if there isn't regime change, and now that we've supposedly destroyed, Trump said it, destroyed, it's over, it's done. Now that that's happened, is that good enough? And I think that's going to be for the president. But I think for a lot of people I've heard from who are quite MAGA, have told me, you know what, I expected this, but the question is, what's next? And if there's any boots on the ground, that changes everything. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting. Who knows? I mean, as we speak now, they're trading. I'm sure they're trading some sort of missiles and bombs at each other. But what's going to take place in the next 24 to 40 hours is going to be very interesting. I'm live tomorrow. We'll be same time on video tomorrow. So if you have a chance, jump on that when you can. We like and subscribe on YouTube, Chad Benson Show TV, and also check us out across all our socials. And then, of course, the radio side is saying 6 to 9 a.m. Pacific, 9 to noon on the East Coast. If you want to know where to find me, go to chadbensonshow.com and check it out. Appreciate all of you guys hanging out with me tonight. Who knows what's going to happen? God bless America. God bless our troops. And hopefully we'll be able to talk about funner things in the coming days and weeks. You guys have a good night.